The Laura Ingraham Show.
We have our amazing President and First Lady with us because for now nearly 8 years, they have served our nation with grace, strength, brilliance, and a whole lot of cool.
My father said, come on home.
I know Hillary. I ran against Hillary. She worked for me. This is somebody who has dedicated her life to making this country better. This is somebody who cares about working families because she comes from a working family.
President Obama is campaigning with Hillary Clinton because she can't campaign. She can't campaign.
You are listening to your healthy radio addiction, The Laura Ingraham Show. 855-40-LAURA. This is it. Election day across the country, polls open, and this is what we've been waiting for. You get to have your say finally. Push past the pundits, push past the prognosticators and the big moneyed class and all the rest of it, and this is your time. So you have to vote for the kind of country you want. Hillary Clinton, we know, is going to do the same policies we've been, seeing for the last 8 years that don't work. And the status quoers, those who've done really well in the Clinton economy, in the Obama economy, they want it to all keep going. They want no end to open borders, open markets. They want to push through the Trans-Pacific Partnership. They want to push through, of course, immigration amnesty and then continue to bring millions of new workers into the country at the same time. And they want to have perpetual power. It's a power grab unlike anything we've seen. And when I say power grab, I mean that we have exported our wealth and we've offshored our opportunities, our jobs. And this has been going on for decades. And now it's your turn. You have someone who's campaigning for the heart and soul of this country, for the middle class, for the moms and dads working to support their families, who don't have any special, representation or big money and interest supporting them, and those people are overwhelmingly turning out for Trump. I saw this in a cold field in Virginia on Sunday night, where at 1 a.m, people had a sense of hope. Finally, someone who was actually standing up for them, and an unlikely person, Donald Trump, a billionaire, standing up for the everyman. And he was all over the country yesterday. And the Clintons, of course, with the Obamas ending it all in Philadelphia. But Trump remained defiant till the end.
The corrupt special interests have stolen your jobs and shipped your wealth to other countries. They've betrayed the working class of this country. Tomorrow, the American working class will strike back. It's about time.
Well, the working people of the country, the same people who volunteer to be in our military, they're police officers, they're first responders, they're people who had factory jobs and factories that supported families and communities for decades. And for as long as I can remember, really since Reagan, they really haven't had a voice. They've had a lot of promises. I mean, Obama promised them the moon, and what happened? We fell further into debt. And, of course, we not only fell further into debt, but I'm on the air. You're talking, and it's picking up. We fell further into debt. And, of course, we saw what happened with our budget deficit. And we saw what happened with jobs. Now government workers outnumber manufacturing workers in the United States by 9,977,000. Think about that. That tells the whole story. Government workers outnumber manufacturing workers. That's the only jobs program that worked for Obama, expanding government. Government employment grew from 22,216,000 in September to 22,235,000 in October, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, while manufacturing jobs dropped again from 12 million, to 12,258,000. And the number that the government workers grew, of course, outnumbered the manufacturing numbers in this country, and that just that tells the whole story. We value government work over manufacturing work. And the problem is the government salaries are paid for by the taxpayers. They're the ones funding the government. Yet the government is working against their interests. And Trump said this, and we'll play Trump 1 next. Trump said this in his rally yesterday in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, remember, he went from Raleigh to Scranton. He ended the night in Michigan after midnight. He didn't speak until 12:30 in the morning. Still thousands and thousands of Americans there. But in Raleigh, he said this.
They get rich by making America poor in many cases. It's time to reject a media and political elite that has bled our country dry.
Listen to the crowd. Listen to this crowd there.
And these are among the most dishonest people. They don't give you the truth, folks. They don't give you the truth.
Listen.
They rarely give you the truth. You know it, and they know it. That's the scary part. They know it. It's time to fight for America. I'm not a politician, I can say proudly.
Good.
My only special interest is you.
Well, we've waited for this. And I know there are a lot of people out there who feel, well, gosh, does a vote make a difference? I tell you, every vote counts. I don't care if you think you're in a state that's going to go Trump and you don't have to worry about it. Every vote. I want you to get out there and vote. Please go out there and vote. If you have friends who maybe can't get to the polls, help them get to the polls. If you have elderly folks who you know who are shut-ins, help them get to the polls. Try to bring one or two people to the polls with you. And this is your chance. This is your time. And don't feel like you don't make a difference. The left never feels that way. The left is always ready to go. They're ready to go. Let's go. Let's get the buses revving. Let's take them to the polls. You can make a difference. And I will say it this way. You have to hand it to Obama. He came in 2008 and he said 2009 and he said I'm going to push for justices that advance social change, and he got gay marriage. He said he was going to upend the healthcare system and give us this Obamacare. He pushed that through. He got massive stimulus packages through. He wanted that done, and he did it. He was denied only a few times. Once in the executive action he did to give illegal immigrants the right to work, the work permits. He was denied that by the court. And he was ultimately denied the NLRB appointments, which the court overturned unanimously. But he wasn't denied much. I mean, he really wasn't denied much in the end. I mean, the Republicans decided to fund his budgets because they couldn't deal with the backlash on the shutting down the government. So he got the Planned Parenthood funding. Think about it, $500 million times 8. So $4 billion ended up going, if I'm doing my math right, ended up going to Planned Parenthood under the tenure of Barack Obama. $4 billion. So he got it. I mean, the Republicans didn't stop him. And that's what Hillary's going to count on if she should win tonight and become president of the United States. I think from what I'm seeing, the early voting is very strong for Republicans in Colorado. Florida is a bit of a mixed bag, as is Nevada. But it looks like the Florida and the Nevada, Colorado unaffiliated voters are going to go big for Trump. Unaffiliated voters push North Carolina early voting to an all-time high. I think that's generally pretty good news for Republicans because a lot of the Republicans have just turned on the party and they said, we don't want to do this anymore. We're not going to support you people. And I have to tell you this. When I was chatting with a friend of mine today in Ohio, who's originally from Columbus, and she's texting me about what do you think is going to happen, what do you think is going to happen. I messaged her back and I said, well, what do you think is going to happen to Kasich? And she said, she sends back, O-V-E-R, with a little hyphen in between each letter, exclamation point. What do you want to happen to these Republicans that didn't support Trump in the end? I mean, the Democrats all stayed united. They fanned out across the country for Hillary. Yeah, they brought Bon Jovi in. How many times can John Bon Jovi appear? By the way, later on, we're gonna share with you some of the croaking by Bruce Springsteen from Independence Hall because he was, I mean, as someone who played Springsteen a lot in the 80s, oh my God, Dancing in the Dark did not exactly sound like it was. It just sounded like The Dark to me. But we'll play that for you coming up on the show, just for a tee-hee giggle. And what did you see at the polls? Have you gone to vote? Did you go on Election Day? I always think voting on Election Day is the most fun. I couldn't because I was going to be in New York, so I voted early. But how many of you voted today, and what'd you feel? What's the feeling as you vote? Did you feel hopeful, anxious, worried? Remember what John Paul II said, be not afraid. Stay true to your faith, to your principles, and the fight goes on. Regardless of the outcome today, I'm very proud of all of my listeners who continue to tune in to their favorite shows and get as much information as they could and suck all that data up and make your own decision. I'm proud of you for being a participant in this process. The people that I don't have, sadly, a lot of respect for are the people who just say, I'm abstaining. I'm not going to vote. I love that. I'm abstaining. The world doesn't care that you're abstaining. We're not interested in your abstaining. Okay, we're trying to save a country, and that's what we've been doing for the last since the last presidential election when everyone was down in the mouth. Don't be down in the mouth. This is your country. Stand up and fight for it as best you can. So we'll take a break. We'll get to all your calls. 855-40-LAURA. We crisscross the country for you to get the pulse of the people, and I think the people want change. We're going to talk to Senator Jeff Sessions. He's going to join us, and Mike Pence is going to stop by. We got a locked and loaded show ready to go. Remember, LifeZet has the best election night coverage. Go to lifezet.com. Great pieces on LifeZet about what is there to lose. Black voters could actually put Trump over the top. Is that possible? So go to lifezet.com, and my closing argument is there for Donald Trump. Don't go away.
The corrupt politicians and their special interests have ruled over this country for a very long time. Today is our Independence Day. Today, the American working class is going to strike back, finally. America has lost 70,000 factories since China entered the World Trade Organization. Another Bill and Hillary-backed disaster. We are living through the greatest jobs theft in the history of the world. A Trump administration will stop the jobs from leaving America, and we will stop the jobs, finally, from leaving Pennsylvania.
I have not seen crowds like that. I don't know. Trump is interrupting me now. I have not seen crowds like that in Pennsylvania for a Republican presidential candidate in 25 years. I just haven't seen it. There was a massive last-minute push and swing to Trump. You see it in the crowds in Pennsylvania. You saw it in that Michigan crowd last night after midnight. He got there so late because of the day he had. He started in Florida, went up to Raleigh, then from Raleigh to Scranton, and Scranton finally ending it in Michigan. It was in Ann Arbor. Oh, New Hampshire. My gosh, I forgot New Hampshire. And then Michigan. That's and then I heard him calling into Fox and Friends. Like, I don't know how this man is doing it. I really don't. He probably got 2 hours of sleep. Hillary was very rested, though. She was in bed and tucked away with her fuzzy slippers at it was like 9:30 or something. I mean, it was madness yesterday. How do you feel? What do you feel? How's everything going? Did you vote? I'm very excited. I think this movement that was started by Trump is going to have a long life. He exposed the Bushes. He held up the mirror to the media. We know with the help of WikiLeaks that there was massive collusion between CNN and the DNC. We had Politico reporters caught in the act. We had John Harwood caught in the act. We have all of these people who, in the end, they were all caught in the act. And Trump, it was an unlikely kind of guy to do it, but maybe, Raymond Arroyo is here with us today here in New York at Fox News. And Raymond, I think it is true that it took someone from the elite world to take on the elites. I mean, it took him, because he's from that world, but he also has that bare knuckles kind of brawling personality that is rough around the edges and obviously got him in trouble at some points. We saw the self-inflicted wounds. But you needed someone like that to be the disruptor in the political process. It's hard for someone who's like a congressman to do that.
And somehow he's deeply connected with America's working class and the middle class. I mean, we were at that Leesburg unbelievable rally, 1 o'clock in the morning. You've got literally thousands of people hiking in the dark down to their cars, families, old people, people in wheelchairs like abandoned on the ravine, or like on the side of the road.
I saw that one, man.
This looked like something out of the Dust Bowl. People like going up to try to get out of town. I've never seen anything like it. It was a commitment and a fervor. And when you talk to those people, they said, we wanted to be here to see him because they have such confidence and faith in what he represents and who he is. So watching that, I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. And I went to one of the Hillary rallies down in Florida. I certainly did. And it was an enthusiastic crowd, but nothing like that
this is a
kind of deep devotion. People just showed up at like an outdoor place, and there were maybe 500 people, 600 people. Here you had 12,000 locked out. Only 3,000 people could get in. Unbelievable.
I have to say I have never seen anything like this. And since Reagan, and I'm kind of too young to really get what was really happening with Reagan, but there was a groundswell. Remember, Reagan was campaigning 2 weeks before Election Day in New York. I mean, he obviously won California, won New York. Talk about a different world. It was before the massive influx of immigrants into the United States, new immigrants. There were maybe 5 or 6 million immigrants, illegal immigrants in the country. Now there are, tens of millions of new, foreigners who are now American citizens. A lot of them have become Democrats, and they come from countries where, the big government ideal really was held dear, and sadly, a lot of them turned Democrat. But there's still a strong heart beating for the working class in America.
Well, there's a lot of hurt out there, and no one is listening, and they feel they don't have a voice. So what I saw, even at that rally in Leesburg, Democrats and Republicans sort of rallying, not around a party, but around a candidacy and an
ideal.
Ideas.
It wasn't about Trump.
Support.
They're loyal to him because he's loyal to them. But it's not about it's because he was fighting for them, so they'd fight through the mud and through the cold and the crowds for him. We haven't had that in a long time. 855-40 Laura. Jeff Sessions, stay with us.
Now we have one flawed candidate to beat.
Deal me in.
You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show. James, you got to play the first part of that soundbite, my friend. Well, not a first place. He wants to be first place finisher. You left out the first part of the bite. First place is the only place. I feel very positive. I feel very pumped. You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show. 855-40 Laura. Do we have Jeff Sessions on the line? I'm blind here, boys. We got Jeff Sessions on the line. We don't have our guest. All right. This is a great election day so far. I'm just teasing. We're going to go to the lines, your calls, what you felt, what you saw on election day. And Donald Trump said it last night. Does this sound like a second place finisher to you? The crowd erupts into cheers. They erupted for him. And Raymond, when you watch the crowds and you watch the excitement, how did this guy do it? Like, how did he take on the Bushes and Rubio? And remember when Rubio was on Newsweek, covering Newsweek, like he was the future of the Republican Party?
Say what you want about Donald Trump. The man has testicular fortitude.
Oh, my gosh.
He digs down, and he just keeps going and believing. And the crowds have come out to support him. I mean, Hillary Clinton had a big night last night in Philadelphia, no doubt about it. But it had a choreographed feel to it. Mm-hmm. You had Bon Jovi, you had Bruce Springsteen. Then at the end of the night, she brings out Lady Gaga in the midnight rally. It all feels premeditated. Somehow the audience is watching. With Trump, you get the feeling the audience is a participant.
They're a part of it.
They're in it. And it's not as if these untouchables are before them, but he comes down to their level and meets them where they are. That's the visual, the theatrical difference that I see. One is up, literally, Hillary has a
barricade. You see her being helped this morning? She was being helped this morning by Bill into the... I think it was into the car.
Yeah,
she looked a little unsteady.
Yeah, I saw you on Fox and Friends. I was, I was watching, and they had you on split screen. So as Bill and Hillary are voting, there you are saying such nice things about Hillary. But what was interesting is the staging of the Philadelphia event. It was like a carve out. They had a little wall. I guess they did build walls right around the stage
where Hillary was. She has a wall in Chappaqua too, by the way.
When Trump goes out, they have barricades, but there's no division like that between the candidate and the people. This was a actual little barricade, and then they were way high up. So it was a thing distant to be watched, almost like Obama. You remember in that Mile High Stadium with it was an event to behold rather than a thing to partake in. This is of the people. There's no glitz. I got to say, there's no, pardon the phrase, razzle dazzle when you go to a Trump event. I mean, it's you get blue,
down and dirty.
Yeah, you get blue curtains, you get a microphone, you might get a prompter. That's it.
But the great moment is when he gets up and he says, "I don't have a guitar, I don't have a piano, it's just me." Joining us now, someone who I think has just been a leader on these issues that propelled the Trump campaign for decades. Senator from the great state of Alabama, has crisscrossed the country with Donald Trump. This is Election Day. I want everyone to get out there and vote. Stand for your country. Stand for first principles. Senator Sessions joins us now. Senator, it's great to see you. And I would just say this and talk to you. I would say this. I would take you on a stage with me over Katy Perry and Lady Gaga any day. Okay? I'll take you next to me on a stage. How are you?
I'd take you over that crowd, too. I'll tell you, severely me, no doubt, for many reasons. Well, it's an exciting day. People have an opportunity today. People have an opportunity today to affect the course of their country. And I was just thinking about all those negative ads on television and attacking Trump in every kind of way. And you know whose face ought to be on that? George Soros. I mean, he symbolizes the global elites with their big money that are trying to impact this election. And Donald Trump has taken his case to the people. He's spoken for the people. He's created a movement that's historic. And I got to tell you, it's going to be hard for any candidate in the future to run a race without being dependent on this big money, the way this thing is going. So this is our chance to get this country on the right track.
And I think a lot of folks today are anxious. They're worried. They look at the polls and they think, oh, we're going to get beaten again by these people. And what do you say to those Americans, and so many turned out to support this platform of prosperity and better trade and the rule of law, safety at home? What do you say to them today?
Well, first I would say to them, let's focus on this election. It is razor thin. There's states that Trump can carry that's extremely competitive and can win this election. This election is not over. Romney lost North Carolina early voting far more than Trump is losing it, and won the state. And he lost Florida by much more in the early voting and lost by a razor-thin margin. So I think Trump is going to carry Florida and North Carolina. He's got Ohio, which we haven't carried in 8 years. Iowa, I'm sure he's going to carry. Colorado. These are states we hadn't carried in a decade. He's appealing to people in the South and the North and the Midwest. Colorado, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. Then you got the states that are moving steadily, like Michigan, Wisconsin.
He's going to win Michigan.
Have real potential to come into the camp. So
Senator Sessions,
we need to lose our poise.
No. Senator Sessions, I think he's going to win Michigan. It's a state that has seen the ravaging effects of open borders, so-called open markets, globalization, where, as Trump said yesterday, our wealth, so much of it has been offshored, exported abroad. So other countries have risen as our country has either flatlined or in many cases gone into decline. I want to play a soundbite for you. James, pull up Obama 8, okay, 8. So President Obama was giving one more impassioned plea yesterday, and he was skipping across the country when he did it. And this was a big rally that he did in New Hampshire. Let's listen.
So not all of you were paying attention, so let me just reprise for you what was going on 8 years ago. We were living through 2 long wars, the worst economic crisis in 80 years. But because of the American people, and because we made some good decisions about what might help working families, we turned the page.
We've turned the page, Senator, and last time I checked, we're still fighting 2 wars. We have 1,700 new American troops deployed to Iraq last week. Nobody's talking about it. And we're extending our troop deployment in Afghanistan. We have special forces embedded in the Middle East. And the world is, without a doubt, more chaotic as America is further and further stretched.
There is no doubt that foreign policy-wise, the Obama-Clinton administration, remember, she's Secretary of State, the premier leader for foreign policy. Against the military advice, she pulled all the troops out of a stable Iraq, and now they're trying to fight to take the second biggest city in the country back, Mosul. That's been a total disaster.
Oh, my gosh.
She did that. She said Assad had to go in Syria. Now we have 5 million people displaced. She overruled the military, the Secretary of Defense, and won with Obama to bomb and destabilize Libya. Now ISIS is there. There are 1 million refugees in Libya trying to get to Europe. We're lucky as we can be. The military saved the day in Egypt. She did nothing to help that. In fact, she helped topple our ally Mubarak. This is one of the greatest failures. She's the architect of a failed foreign policy of monumental proportions. We're at risk we should never be at. And it's going to be difficult for any leader to get this country back on a sound path, with Russia and China also behaving badly everywhere they want to.
Well, as America grows weaker, Senator Sessions, economically, as we have an anemic gross domestic product, as we have a ballooning trade deficit, that means more of our money is going overseas than coming here. Okay, as that continues to happen, China will ultimately become a more powerful country than the United States. And I don't think we've really spent a lot of time talking about what the result of that will be for the average American. If China is calling the shots and international organizations are calling most of the shots for us, then what does that mean for American freedom? What does that mean for us?
Well, we can't be a force for freedom in the world if we have a failed economy. And we can't have a strong economy without a manufacturing base. You can't have a steel industry. How are you going to be an independent, strong nation without major manufacturing?
Yeah, military steel.
On a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now, let me just mention this. What Donald Trump understands in his bones, and few people do, China needs our market. They need us far more than we need them. We need a president to look them in the eye and say, you stop cheating. You stop manipulating your currency. You stop stealing our technology and our activity. You stop behaving badly in the Pacific, or we'll buy our products from Mexico or Japan or the Philippines or some other place. And you'll be the one that's be suffering 10 times as much as we will. So we've got leverage. We don't want a trade war, but a firm leader who talks to them straight to straight, person to person. We can alter this situation.
Much more vibrant for the country.
Manufacturing is unfairly being competed against.
Senator, before we let you go, what is the state of the Senate majority right now? There's some predictions from the so-called prognosticators, the Larry Sabatos at UVA, who says it's going to be 50-50. Republicans going to lose Senate seats. Pat Toomey has not been with Trump. Kelly Ayotte has not been with Trump. Joe Heck in Nevada has seen his fortunes also deteriorate, not with Trump. What about the effort to keep the majority?
First, all our friends around in those key states and all the states, Donald Trump needs those Republican senators or he will not be able to effectively govern and do the things we'd like to do. We need a majority in the Senate, so I would urge people to put that beside them and cast the votes for our Republican candidates. But I don't think that's accurate. I believe we will maintain a majority. We will probably, because we're so exposed, like we have 28 seats up to 6 Democrats or something. So we have so many more seats that we could lose. And so if we get out of this cycle with a few lost seats and maintain the majority, next cycle we're going to add some big-time seats to the Senate.
Senator Sessions.
It's an important election. I urge people to stay with that Republican candidate.
Yeah, and I think the Republicans have a lot to learn from Donald Trump, an unlikely man to take the baton from the people who have a strong, patriotic, hardworking spirit. and they've been looking for someone to lead them, and they've been looking for someone to represent them. And they found it in him. And the Republican Party better learn from the rise of Trump why he became such a force in American politics. They better learn their lesson this time. And if they don't, it's just going to continue to be more bad news for them. But this is a real opportunity here. And I'm feeling very positive from the reports I'm getting across the country, extremely positive for Trump's chances tonight. I'm not worried about the pollsters. I'm worried about the people. Senator Jeff Sessions, it's always a privilege. You did the country really proud over the last year. We really appreciate everything you've done, and keep up the good work. And I'll have to say it for you. Go Auburn.
Great to be with you, and those parting words were very valuable.
I know. Go Auburn. Okay. Go Auburn, except in the Iron Bowl. I'm just kidding. All right, Senator, we really appreciate it. Stay with us on the Laura Ingraham Show.
Blow them out. No way. They say we're tied in Pennsylvania. I don't think so. I think we're going to blow them out tomorrow in a lot of different ways. Blow them out. No way.
I'm watching American television.
Think about where we were 8 years ago. Now, I realize some of you were 10. And, you were watching Nickelodeon, and I was trying to think back. You had Josh and Drake. You had,
that's his intellect.
iCarly.
He's probably still watching it in the room.
Although in our household, SpongeBob ruled.
Oh my gosh, they're actually cheering that. That was embarrassing. Raymond Arroyo's with us here on the Laura Ingraham Show. Drew, the whole gang, we're all in. We're all in for this. We're gonna be cranking this through whenever they call the election. Okay, just for fun, Raymond, can you fix that microphone for poor Raymond, Drew? That thing won't stop turning around.
It spins
around.
Fine. We're improvising.
No, you see what I mean? How it swings. Yes. So let's just for fun. Let's predict. Outcome we can do that later. But when will the election be called? Okay, each of us will predict. When will the election be called? Okay, my prediction: it'll be called at 9:20 p.m.
No, I think it's going later. I say 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, Drew?
10:30.
10:30. Okay, there we have it. That's exciting radio. Don't go away. Yeah, this is... Okay, that's what's supposed to get the people out to vote? That? I mean, it's not 1984 anymore. I mean... This is the decline of vocal ability at this point. Bruce Springsteen. That's what they tried to use to pull Kerry over the top, and Al Gore. They had Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. They brought them all out, and they couldn't pull Al Gore, couldn't pull Kerry over the finish line. But Donald Trump kind of addressed the celebrity turnout for Hillary.
Hillary can't fill a room. Look at this is called filling a stadium, and I have no guitar and no piano, right? I mean, she gets Jay-Z and Beyonce the other night. Tonight she has Beyonce. Bruce Springsteen. They come in, listen to the musician, which I think is demeaning to it's actually demeaning to the political process.
Oh. Well, it's especially demeaning when the people can't sing. And then when Jay-Z's up there talking the N-word and B's and the H word.
Remember, it was JFK who kind of coined this thing with Sinatra and the Rat Pack. But
at least they had talent.
Well, they would come out and like sing the national anthem or sing the little jingle at the end or the beginning of a rally. It wasn't the centerpiece of the rally. And if you watch the Philadelphia event, it was basically an Obama. It was like a flashback to 2008. President Obama. I thought he was running again for a minute. I mean, he was really in it. He's like, All
right, let's go. Come on, Manchester. We hope we have some of those Obama calling out the crowd. All right, man. Did you see him strut out on the stage last night, Raymond? He struts. All right, let's do it one more time. I'm gonna keep my legacy going. So we have a piece on Life's Zet, and it's called Obama Campaigns for Obama. I think, Raymond, you're making that point that he appeared to be campaigning for himself, not really for Hillary. President spends the waning hours of 2016 contest selling his own greatness as cause enough to vote Democrat. My goodness, we're going to go to the second 12 Obama 12, James, because that's where he really. But he's out there and he's rolling up his sleeves. He does the whole act up there on stage. They say that Trump is a performer. He's rolling up his sleeves. All right, give it up, Riley. Aren't we tired of the give it up? What is this, Arsenio Hall? I mean, give it up. I mean, isn't that a little?
Obama
old?
was in the zone yesterday. I'm telling you, it was like 2008. I thought I was watching clips from Mile High Stadium. He was in the zone.
Oh, suck up. Let's listen.
You bet on me all those years ago, and I will always be grateful for the privilege you gave me to serve. But I'll be honest with you. I've always had the better odds because I've always bet on you. And America, I'm betting on you one more time. I'm betting that tomorrow, most mom and dads across America won't cast their vote for someone who denigrates their daughters from the highest office in the land. I'm betting that most Americans won't vote for someone who considers minorities and immigrants and people with disabilities as inferior. Who considers people who practice different faiths as objects of suspicion.
Oh, we're just laughing here in the studio in New York. You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. This is about him. It always is about him. I don't want to just keep playing Obama.
No, but this Obama 3 is important.
Okay, we're going to play one more just to torture you as everybody's going to the polls. And let's just remember what this is about. This is about whether you want an America with a growing, vibrant economy, with a middle class is the strongest part of the country. We want the middle class really should be the backbone of America, as she always has been. You know, the middle class, that is the reservoir that has supplied our military, our firefighters, our police, which is why the police are all with Trump. Notice that? Veterans are all, with Trump overwhelmingly, that Military Times poll. The deployed, they're not really supposed to poll them, but they're all for Trump too. So the police, the Border Patrol, check this out, the police, the Border Patrol, veterans, undoubtedly the deployed people, I'm sure firefighters. Who doesn't want to be with the firefighters? They're all for Trump. Now, why do you think they're for Trump and Goldman Sachs is for Hillary? Why do you think? Because she's going to jam through that Trans-Pacific Partnership so all these oligarchs can offshore their wealth and all be protected when China decides to call its debt. They'll all be protected. And by the way, why do we need 500 federal minders and international observers? You know the international observers that are going to be at the polls? From the UN and from all these other organizations that are going to be monitoring what we do. Here's my prediction. If there are signs early on that Trump is surging, suddenly you're going to start hearing warnings from the observers. Oh, we sensed a lot of tension in Cleveland. We sense there seemed to be an intimidating atmosphere in Philadelphia. You want to bet that we start seeing these faux claims of voter suppression? Faux claims. Drew, tell your story about D.C. when you were voting yesterday. This is an interesting story. Then we'll get to this that Obama soundbite.
This was Friday because I had to do early voting, so I'll be up here with New York with Laura as well. But I get in line, and I've been waiting in line for probably about an hour now.
That's amazing. In D.C., yes. Drew was in line for an hour.
On Friday, and this was Columbia Heights area, so Logan Circle area.
Yeah.
So I'm up there. I have my passport, I have my driver's license, I have my voter ID card.
You don't need an ID.
Right, but I have it all.
Blood sample.
Right. The point I'm trying to make is I have everything. The only thing I do not have is because my license is an Alabama license and the passport says Alabama, I do not have a proof of where I live. So they needed online, they needed some kind of proof of where I've lived. So I pull up my last lease statements, where I rent and everything like that. So she tries to tell me like 3 times, you can't vote. I can't prove that you live in D.C. I'm like, my voter registration card. This is just because it says, Republican on it, ma'am. That's what I asked her because, everyone in there is a flaming liberal. I mean,
they're all left-wing.
Yeah, they're all left-wing.
So Drew thinks he was profiled as a Southerner, a white Southerner.
White Southerner.
He feels like he was profiled at the D.C., which is, I
had to go up to the event coordinator and everything. I mean, this was a process.
Coordinator?
Yes, this was a process.
Call Chappaqua again.
Yeah, so I had to prove to them over 3 or 4 emails.
I want you to stop him from voting. Do whatever you
As
can.
I was telling Laura, this is where people were not IDs. I mean, some of them had to be legal, etc. You name it, and they're just flying right by. No problems.
No problems. They look at
they look at this white boy from down south, and they were striking back.
Yeah, it goes both ways though. The hypocrisy goes both ways. That's the point to the story.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. We have a really funny travel story which we'll share for you as you're all traveling to the polls. A lot of you have voted early, but I want to know what you saw at the polls. What's the feeling you have? I'm very hopeful. I think this has been an amazing 17 or 18 months. I want to hear from you. 855-40-LAURA. I want to hear from all of you across the country. Swing states or no swing states, I want to hear from you. President Obama making this campaign again about himself. Let's listen.
Since my name's not on the ballot, there are times where I've been just kind of trying to bite my tongue, but there's a lot about this election that has not been on the level. But I'm going to level with you right now. The way campaigns have gotten, we've come to accept crazy stuff as normal. And you see this strategy of just repeating attacks and outright lies over and over again. But it gets churned in social media and Facebook. And no matter how false they are, they just create this cloud of dust.
This cloud of dust. It's called, the dust is the people. The dust, the cloud of, the stuff that you sprinkled on people were the pixie dust. That was all a fantasy. See, Clinton was right. Bill Clinton was right. That's the biggest fantasy I've ever seen. Remember back there in 2008? I can tell you it's like Obamacare. That stuff's the biggest fantasy. Those fools fell for that Obamacare. Can you believe it? I'm sorry. I'm just going to do impressions. Trump 7, James. Here's Trump doing what Republicans really haven't done in recent elections. They haven't gone to the inner city. They didn't speak to African Americans in a way that they could relate to. Now, Trump will still lose the African American vote. I get it. I think there are a lot of minority voters, however, as we saw in that rally, Raymond, the other night, a lot of minority voters are going to turn out for Trump because he began to he started the conversation with them in a meaningful way. And he made some mistakes, for sure.
I was struck by the number of Hispanics.
Latinos who were at that rally in Leesburg,
and they were
Virginia,
like holding up their rosaries. And
they had the rosaries. Did you see that woman in the front?
Yeah.
She had Catholics for Trump, and then the other one was, she was a woman, Baptist from out in Woodbridge, Virginia, where I was on Sunday with Don Trump Jr. Mm-hmm. These were fervent people of faith. They know what's on the line for people of faith. We don't have a Supreme Court that defends
I was
religious
struck
liberty.
by, that sort of flew in the face of a lot of the reporters where they say, well, these are just angry white men. There were actually half the crowd or more were female.
Yeah.
And there were a good number of Latinos in the crowd, too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an interesting, I have to say, that was the first Trump rally I had been to.
I'm so glad we
went.
And
it was illuminating.
How about the last minute?
To see the people.
How about the last minute? I decided it was going to like 7:45. I call Raymond. Hey, it's too much. Then he told. I knew it when he told his kids that would be cool. And his kids were great.
Well, it's a historic moment. It's a historic moment that I think for young people it's important to expose them to democracy in action and that stakes. The stakes are high, and your vote matters.
Counts.
This is a thing. We have these people who say, I'm writing a third party in, or I'm writing Jesus in, or I'm going to write my name in, or whoever. That's really an insult, I think, to the men and women at this hour who are in harm's way to protect your liberties and your freedoms and your right to vote. And they do so, by the way, not always liking or accepting the orders that they're given. They do it out of loyalty to the country. And a big part of that is your freedom to shape your destiny and faith. And when we decide we're going to be cute and write something in or stay home,
that was John,
that's a crock.
John Kasich is putting in John McCain.
That's a crock.
Kelly Ayotte is putting McCain. They're all putting McCain.
That's a crock.
We tried that back in 2008.
This country doesn't ask a whole lot of us.
Right.
And so few of us serve this country in any meaningful way. The least you can do is vote, and do so conscientiously and thoughtfully, not based on whatever you saw in between Steve Harvey.
By the way,
let me get off my soapbox.
By the way, a man 63 years old, quote, falls to his death from the Russian consulate in New York City on 91st and 5th.
I'm sure it was just a weak.
I'm sure there's just he slipped. I'm sure he.
The balcony post was a little weakened.
I'm sure he just slipped.
Rotted right away.
God bless his soul. But
poor soul.
7 a.m. He fell four stories, and The police are there and investigating. 855-40-LAURA. Don't go away.
If you have a master plan, I got the vote for you. Hey.
You live in the inner cities. You're African American, you're Hispanic. The schools are no good. There are no jobs. And it's totally unsafe. And I say, I will fix it. What the hell do you have to lose? I'm going to fix it. We are all going to fix it. We're going to fix it.
Danny Tarkanian's with us, Republican nominee for the open seat in Nevada's 3rd Congressional District, vacated by Joe Heck. And he joins us now. Danny's a very successful businessman, an outsider trying to shake up the system like Donald Trump. He stood with Trump and has been with him loyally in these issues. Danny, we only have a couple of minutes. Tell us what you feel Nevada can do today. We've been hearing all this naysaying commentary about how Trump can't win Nevada. I disagreed with it from the beginning. What are you sensing?
Yeah, that's all was from some liberal blogger who's a washed-up guy who's trying to get himself back into the national picture, so some people like Politico picked up his statements. The facts are completely opposite. The GOP has voted at a higher rate than the voting registration difference in the state, and Hispanics have voted at a lower percentage after early voting than they did in 2012. We're right about where their voter registration numbers are going to be if the polling is accurate, and Trump's winning like most of the polls I've had the last couple of weeks. I think he's got a great chance to win the state.
Danny, you were running in a fairly safe congressional district. How confident are you?
Well, no, my district's actually 2% more Democrats. Joe Heck did a great job, won 3 elections in a row there. But it's an evenly split district. It's the most expensive race in congressional history. It's $16.5 million that have been spent by both parties. I feel very, very good about our chances. It's not going to be easy, but I think we're going to prevail today.
Well, I mean, everyone knows Jerry Tarkanian, of course, your dad. Hall of Fame coach, University of Nevada, and you guys have a great name ID in the state. And I think you're in a way like Trump. I mean, you're very successful in business. You have a good family brand name, and you're fighting for the regular people, no matter if they're black or white or Hispanic. It doesn't matter. It's for economic growth and for strong, safe borders and strong homeland. And I think you're going to do great. I don't know why I thought your district was leaned a little bit more Republican, but I think you're going to do phenomenally.
We feel good about it, and again, I think we're all on the right issues. We understand, both Trump and I, that the country is so frustrated with the sewer that's been in Washington, D.C. We need to drain the swamp, as he says.
And Joe Heck was with Trump, not with Trump. Now he's kind of, I don't know where he is, but what are the lessons learned on that?
I mean, I don't know why Joe made that decision. As you mentioned, I didn't do it, and I certainly wouldn't do that. My dad always taught me you stand up for what's right, and you, even if it may not be the politically correct thing to do, Trump is by far the best choice we have for president. I wasn't going to back down from him.
Yeah!
And I think it's being shown more accurately every day.
Danny, you are awesome. I'm so excited. You're going to win big. Everybody get out and vote in Nevada. Vote for real change, real disruption of the corrupt class in Washington, D.C. You're going to do, I think you're going to win this seat. Danny Tarkanian here on the Laura Ingraham Show. Thanks for stopping by. By the way, we're going to talk to Mike Pence coming up. We also might have a surprise in the next hour, but we'll tell you about that and a lot more on the Laura Ingraham Show. 855-40-LAURA and on LifeZette. Make sure to check out all the great election night coverage. It's the Clinton Foundation. Stupid. Well, the big story is about the Clinton Foundation, buried by the mainstream media, and a lot more. Voting for an American system over a corrupt scheme. All on LifeZette.com.
They win. The American people lose a big league. This is it, folks. We will never have another opportunity. Not in 4 years, not in 8 years. It'll be over with Supreme Court justices, with people pouring into our country. This is it. This is it. Good luck. Get out there. I did my thing. I mean, I worked.
I did my thing. That thing you do. Joining us now, and I'm teasing him because he's my friend of, 20 years. Mike Pence. Mike Pence is joining us, and he's exhausted, and you've been so inspiring on the trail, Mike, and soon-to-be Vice President Mike Pence. How are you? Good to talk to you on Election Day.
We're good. It was a short night, but boy, what an inspiring day it was. I wrapped up last night in Michigan in front of thousands and thousands of people standing shoulder to shoulder with a man who I believe will be the next president of the United States. But it's great to be with you today, and great to encourage everyone who knows that we can make America great again to get out there and vote, bring a friend, exercise that franchise, because we can turn this country around if we elect Donald Trump as the next president of the United States.
For the first time in a long time, I think the regular working class person in the country, and we saw Latinos at the big Leesburg, Virginia rally on Sunday, Governor. We saw people from all walks of life lined up in the cold and in the darkness to come see Trump speak. At almost 1 a.m, he finished. And those people believe that the system has been turned against them. It only works for the moneyed class. It only works for the donor class. And they were very demoralized until Trump came along. And they feel like he's been loyal to them, so they're being loyal to him. And so many millions are turning out to vote today. What do you have to say, the last appeal to that Republican or independent who might be a little bit, still on the fence, or might be, Donald Trump said this 11 years ago. What do you say to that voter?
Well, I just say to them that I think this election comes down to a choice between change and the status quo. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's 7.5 years of the leadership of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton has weakened America's place in the world, stifled America's economy, and had our courts walking farther and farther away from our most cherished constitutional ideals and principles. And the backdrop of all of that is obviously years of scandal and corruption swirling around the Clintons. And if people are tired of it, if they're tired of the pay-to-play politics of a weakened America at home and abroad, then they can vote for change. That change only comes when we elect Donald Trump as president of the United States. I truly do believe that Donald Trump has both the leadership and the vision to turn this country around. And it's exactly like you said, Laura, since I joined this ticket 3 months ago. It's been very humbling for me and for my family to be out there, to see the determination of the American people to really have an America that's standing tall again in the world, to have an America that's prospering again for this generation and the next, and to have an America that stands without apology for our highest constitutional ideals. I think that's the choice. It is. Lastly, I would just say, and I've said this in every rally, I said it last night late in Michigan and in New Hampshire, this isn't so much to me a choice between Republican and Democrat, or even liberal and conservative. This is what Ronald Reagan said in the 1960s. It's a choice between up and down. And for a stronger, more prosperous America, an America that celebrates our highest ideals, and to have government as good as our people in Washington, D.C. That comes if people today take the time, bring a friend, and go out and exercise their franchise and elect Donald Trump as the next president of the United States.
The future of the Republican Party starts tomorrow. And win or lose, the party moves forward, the movement moves forward. And what do you say to the John Kasichs or the Jeb Bushes who, despite pledging to support the nominee, not only did not, but criticized him along the way? What's your message to them today?
I really, I would say that, this is going to be a campaign that is I think remembered because it was a time when the American people weren't so much looking to the pundits and the pollsters and even to the politicians. They were looking to one another. They were looking to their highest aspirations and ideals. They were talking to one another. And I believe Donald Trump's going to be elected president of the United States tonight. And I think it's going to be a great, great victory for millions of Americans who know we can be stronger, know we can be more prosperous, know we can do all that in a way that celebrates and cherishes our highest constitutional ideals, Laura.
And, Mike, before we let you go, Governor Pence, what states tonight could be a surprise that you guys are able to flip that people didn't think you could flip? I have a couple in mind, but what are yours?
Well, I was in Minnesota yesterday morning, the morning after Donald Trump was there, and the enthusiasm in Minnesota was remarkable. But I
agree.
Have to tell you, I started the morning yesterday in Michigan and ended the evening. Well, actually, we rang in Election Day after midnight in Michigan, and in New Hampshire, the enthusiasm is palpable. Look, I really do believe Donald Trump has articulated a message that has given voice to the frustrations and the aspirations of the American people, really across the spectrum, and it's resonating in Michigan, it's resonating in places like Minnesota, it's resonating in New Hampshire, all across the American West. So
have you called Susana Martinez in New Mexico, because we saw the polls in New Mexico tightening? I know there was a little tension between Trump and Martinez, which is unfortunate. But what about in these last days? Is she helping at all?
Well, there's no question that Susana Martinez does a great job as governor. She's my friend.
She does.
But I would tell you the polls are tightened up in New Mexico. There's no question that's another one. But at the end of the day, the pundits, the pollsters, the talking heads on the endless panels on cable television.
Oh God,
have had their say. Today, the American people have their say, and I just had to call and tell you that.
Well,
and tell your millions of listeners, this is their turn, and make sure to take a neighbor, a friend, a family member, go out and find that polling place, cast a vote for Donald Trump, and we will make America great again.
Governor Mike Pence, thank you. I know you're so swamped, and you're inspiring, though, man. You are an inspiring dude, and you really caught the imagination of the American people. And my friend Alex Azar texted me, a mutual friend in Indianapolis. He said he got to the polls as they opened at 6 a.m. in Indianapolis. There were already 100 people in line. He said he's never seen it before. 100 people, and he said, "Go Pence." So that's what Azar said to you. So, Governor Pence, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for all that you've done for the cause, for the country. Your clarion voice has made a difference in America, and we're just so grateful to you, Laura, as well.
God bless, and you guys are going to win, and I can't wait to be there to celebrate. Stay with us.
Everybody have fun. Everybody have fun.
Drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. Is there any place better to be than a Trump rally? Are we having fun? The corrupt politicians and their special interests have ruled over this country for a very long time. Today is our Independence Day. Today, the American working class is going to strike back, finally.
Last night after midnight, Donald Trump wraps up his campaign, and it was an uproarious crowd. These people were pumped. They knew he was going to be late. They knew from early in the day that he was never going to make it there by 11. They waited. It was after midnight, and that's when this entire campaign came to an end. Donald Trump aims to be the next president of the United States. I feel very positive about this. You hate to be too optimistic, because then you're like, oh, then I'll be disappointed. But I'm so optimistic from what I've seen across this country. The American people are ready for change. They're just ready for it. They've seen the Clintons, and no offense, I mean, people just want to change. They want a disruptor, someone who's from the outside, not someone that's all they do is, rack up political awards. They want someone who's created jobs and a new way forward. Let's drain the swamp, clean up the swamp. Debbie in Florida. Debbie, welcome.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Okay, my husband and I got up early this morning and went out and voted for Mr. Trump, and there was a good crowd, very encouraging this morning early, except I'm not sure how much confidence I have right now in the integrity of the election. There was a woman in front of us who spoke English but with a very thick accent, and when the poll worker was asking her what street she lived on, she couldn't tell them her address. He asked what neighborhood she lived in, she couldn't tell him, but yet she still got a ballot and voted. So it kind of it was a little worrisome.
Well, you have to be Drew, my producer in D.C. He was treated like he was really suspicious. He's a white guy from Alabama voting in D.C. They looked at him like, I'm telling you, there's some profiling going on. Well, God bless her. We just hope she's still struggling with English, but voting for Trump. So we'll see how that all adds up. But look, the Democrats have a way of finding the votes they need. Right, we see that in Philadelphia. Okay, guys, you're like 15,000 votes short. Oh, we found them. Here are the votes. They're under someone's desk. Get those buses from Jersey revved up and ready to get them down to the Philly suburbs, okay? Get them down. Bryn Mawr has some empty polling places. Take them down there. I mean, this is craziness. These people are total frauds. And when Trump said the election's rigged and everyone thought, oh, you shouldn't say that. That's not true. I'll tell you what is rigged, the media. That's CNN getting the questions for Trump and Cruz from the DNC And then our friend Mark Halperin coming on yesterday saying he had no problem with that. He had no problem. He said, well, you can get some help from the Republicans, get some help from the Democrats. Not a big, he said it's not a big deal. I might not have worded it that way, and I like Halperin. So I didn't care for that. Aren't you supposed to be independent from the political parties, the press? Donna Brazile, by the way, does not regret anything she did. Giving questions, at least 4 questions given to Hillary Clinton. In when she was at CNN. She got Roland Martin to give her questions. No regrets at all. Yeah, so Drew just handed me the official transcript of that town hall. It was basically the same question that they provided her. So Donna Brazile has no problem, no regrets. You got to give. See, this is what these people do. This is what they do. This is what they do. They do something that is unethical or unlawful, and then they just act like they just won lotto. Right? They don't care. They're not going to go and grovel. I'm so sorry. They're like go out and strut on stage like Obama did. We got a flatlining economy. We have half the country $1,000 away from an emergency, a financial emergency. We have 94 million American men and women of working age operating outside the workforce. We have 9.4% real unemployment. And Obama's like, hello, Manchester. Let's give it up for Bon Jovi. Oh, come on. Let's go to Mark in New York. Mark, go ahead. Hope you voted for Wendy Long, by the way. Just drain the swamp with Schumer in it. Go ahead. Mark, go ahead, my friend.
Hi, how you doing? I'm just calling from upstate New York, and just to let you know that when I went to vote today, there was an extremely long line for where I normally vote. It kind of made me feel good that somebody like Donald Trump got the people involved. I mean, I knew there were a lot of first-time voters because a lot of people were asking where in line they had to stand. So that was positive. And I voted this time of day for lots of election cycles. And
You've never seen anything like the lines, right? What you're saying, Mark, is what my friend Alex said in Indianapolis. He's never seen 100 people in line. He always votes first or second. When he gets there at 6 a.m., first or second, he's always in line, 100 people in line. Never seen anything like it. The whole time he's lived in Indianapolis. So that's interesting. Upstate New York is big Trump country. That's Wendy Long country for the Senate race. You got to vote for Wendy Long, and it's Donald Trump. That's Trump country. Hillary promised 200,000 jobs upstate New York. You know what they got? Bubkiss. They got nothing. So upstate New York, I know you feel like you don't have a voice. Every vote counts. If Trump wins the popular vote, he's going to win. Nate Silver said there's like a 0.5% chance that if Trump won the popular vote, he wouldn't win the Electoral College. And do you trust these federal monitors? I don't trust these monitors. I don't like this idea of all these monitors. They monitor us morning, noon, and night. I don't trust it. Lady Gaga was there. Where was Lady Gaga? Was she with Springsteen? She was with Springsteen, and who else was there? Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. They're all dancing in the dark, though. No, that was Raymond said he was hearing it on some. You saw it on some cable thing, Raymond? You didn't even know who it was, right? You didn't know that.
When I heard Bruce Springsteen, I just heard it. I was brushing my teeth in the other room, and I heard it, and I thought, that can't be the original. Who is that singing this song? And I walked in, and there was Bruce Springsteen. It was shocking.
This is the sound of defeat.